Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
And today we're taking a look at a game called Garden Guests. Garden Guests is a game in which you are... do you even think bugs are garden guests? I feel like bugs are garden pests.
Depends on the bug.
What bug do you want besides ladybugs? Or honeybees?
Praying mantis, maybe?
Oh, those are cool. Anyway, you're Beetles in this game. You're just trying to get it across the garden from one side to the other. This is an abstract game designed by Stephen Glenn. It was originally only published in Germany, but Van Ryder has brought it and they've added, it was just kind of just discs across the board. Now they've added a theme of a garden to it. It is for... So this is kind of a weird one. It's for 2 to 6 players, but the way it works is it's either 2 or 3 players, or you can play 4, 5, and 6, but then you have teams where you're playing and passing cards back and forth. So we're taking a look at it as a 2 or 3 player game in this review. Here's how it plays. So as we said, 2 to 3 players or teams, and each player is going to be a color, and your goal is to connect your lines together across the board by forming a line. You're going to be jumping from spot to spot here, making a line, and the first person to connect to the other side is the winner. Each player is going to start with 2 of these cards. One is a 1-4, the other is a 2-3. They'll be placed face up in front of you, determined on the player order. You also have your own deck of cards that are just going to show various flowers that are in the game, although you also have wildflower cards. On your turn, you have one of 4 different actions, although one of the actions is only available in a team game, and that's where you will pass flowers from your hand to your teammate. The other actions you can take are collect flowers. You pick one of your numbers. So here's 1. I turn it over, and I draw that many cards from my deck and onto my hand. You have a limit of 15 cards in your hand. You can also build a colony. A colony can be built on what are called these pedestals here. So to build a colony on my home line here, simply just cost a flower card. I can just play it and put a colony there. To put a colony on one of these, you would pay whatever the flower is. So here I would pay a tulip, and then I can put a colony there. Somebody else can put a colony there by paying 2 tulips. They'll kick me off, and they'll put 2 of theirs there, and I could take it back by playing 3 flowers of that type and taking it back. The game comes with little tokens to put on top so you remember what flower type you are trying to play. The other thing that you can do is you can pick any 2 of your colonies and you can connect them. So I can connect this like this up from here to here, but I have to play all the flowers that are on it. So I'd play 2 of the purples and 3 of those. Although you can pay whatever you want as long as you follow that line. You know, you're moving things around, and you can't move through other players' lines. And that's pretty much the game. You're going to just keep doing that until one person gets to the other side, and that team is the winner. Okay, so let's talk about this. I think everyone would agree that while this game is about beetles in a garden, that doesn't mean anything. There's no theme at all.
Yeah, that didn't really change much besides like the artwork.
But that being said, did you guys like the artwork?
Yeah, I think it suited the game pretty well. It looked really cute and cool.
Yeah.
And what about the pieces?
Oh, the pieces were really nice.
You know, I did like how you could easily define between the larger and the smaller pieces, which a lot of games, they just kind of change the size a bit and it gets confusing.
Yeah, I think the game looks really good. The artist here, she did a fantastic job at making the garden, and it's interesting because you need to know what flower goes in a hex, and yet she manages to make them spill just a little bit. It's not confusing, but it looks like a natural garden as you spread them across. Okay, so the gameplay itself, you just have a few actions, which are going to be drawing some cards, claiming a colony, and then connecting lines back and forth. So what'd you think of this?
Well, it wasn't too complicated, though it does get quite annoying when one player is like severely ahead of you and you'd have to make an incredibly large move to get around them.
Well, you could just try to cut them off.
I mean, it's kind of hard when they're right next to the other side of the line. That's how Ruby beat me last time. She just kind of played her last 4 cards, which were conveniently going to connect her, while I had to play at least maybe 9 cards, which I did not even have.
Well, what did you think about the 2-player or the 3-player?
2-player is better.
Yeah, like
Pretty much.
the 3-player, I got caught up early, so
Yeah, with 3-player, it's possible to eliminate one of the players because they just can't go, which is the same in a 2-player. You eliminate the other player, but then you
just win.
You win. So I think there's that. With the team play, which I've tried, is the passing back and forth. That's okay. I can see some people liking it. It has limited communication. But again, this is just a very basic game. The game is almost small. It's smaller than this box. This box makes it look like a big game. What do you think about flipping the cards over to get resources? Or to get more cards, I'm sorry.
I don't really think it matters, except right at the beginning of the game. I think when me and Ruby played, I think Ruby had the advantage because she could like flip over a, what was it, like
4.
A 4 and a, what was
2.
the other number? 4 and a 2. So if you were to flip over the 2 and the 4, you get like an instant 6. Meanwhile, I had like a 3 and a 1, so I would get like an instant 4. So if Ruby just got that 6 at the beginning and just flipped 1 card the rest of the game, she would inherently start off with more cards. And
Yeah, it was interesting. Violet pointed this out after our first game. Like, why is there even 2 cards there? Now, it matters more in teams, maybe who flips what card. But when it's solo, just keep flipping the 2 and the 3, right?
Yeah.
You don't need the 1 and the 4. The only advantage is if you start with a 4 face up, then haha, I get those 4 cards, and then for the rest of the game, I just keep flipping the 2 and the 3 back and forth.
yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I didn't do that, but okay.
Yeah, it's because I didn't want to tell you, otherwise you'd have an even bigger advantage.
Okay, what do you think about the taking over other people's areas in the middle? You can get caught up doing that.
Yeah. It's a lot more prevalent in the 3-player game, I think, like taking over. I don't think we did that at all in our
Because you didn't
2-player.
really need to in a 2-player game. You could just go around that rather than having to waste a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, the taking over seems to happen more 3-player over 2-player. It's a pretty fast game, and it feels almost like a mean game, but it's also like a board game version of the old snake game, you know, where the snakes are moving around and you're trying to surround the other person. Here, you're just trying to get from one side to the other to cut them off.
Do you mean like
Slithero?
Well, there's a lot of games like that. I call them snake games,
That's
but they're
fair.
they're moving stuff around, whatever they might be, or the one where you're making big areas
I
trying
miss that
to
game.
stop the other person. All right, Ruby, what would you give this?
6. I think it's nice. It's fairly fast, easy to learn. It's not too complicated, but there isn't a lot to do. I think it's nice.
I give it a 5. The theme was kind of just like irrelevant. I liked the artwork, and the gameplay was fine, but it didn't really stand out that much.
Okay, I'm also giving it a 6. I think Guard Guess is a nice game. It's fine to play, but I don't know that I'll keep going back to it. It is an abstract game, and it feels, like I said, small. Some people are going to argue, and they'll probably say it in the comments here, that this is better with teams. I don't know that I agree on that. Teams makes it a more robust experience where you're passing cards and you are connecting things, but there's that limited communication. But the gameplay itself doesn't really change, and it almost like as if you're adding stuff to make the game feel bigger. So it's fine, it's nice, and I give a lot of props to how it looks. I think it looks gorgeous, and I think some people will enjoy it. But for me, it's fine.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. That is Guarding Guess. I'm Tom Vessel,
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
and we're going to kill all the bugs in the garden. No,
Why?
we're not. I'm just kidding.
How would you even do that?
I don't even know.